Tonight's story is about a plane that disappeared with hundreds of people inside. No one knows where those passengers spent their final hours. No one knows what happened inside that aircraft. And even after years of investigation, the mystery only became darker. Because this was not an old plane. This happened in the modern world, a time with satellites, military radar, advanced tracking systems, and yet somehow an entire aircraft vanished without a trace. But you will be shocked to know the plane did not disappear immediately. According to investigators, after losing contact, it continued flying silently through the darkness for nearly 7 hours. Imagine that for a second. Hundreds of passengers sitting inside a plane, completely alone above the ocean, while the rest of the world had no idea where they were. No rescue teams, no communication, only darkness outside the windows. And the creepiest part? Some experts believe someone inside the cockpit intentionally changed the route of the aircraft, meaning this may not have been an accident at all. So what really happened on that flight? Where did the plane go? And why has nobody been able to fully solve this mystery, even after spending millions of dollars searching for answers? Tonight, we uncover the terrifying mystery of Malaysia. March 8th, 2014. At Kuala Lumpur International Airport, passengers slowly boarded flight MH370. Some were tourists returning home. Some were students. Others were families traveling together. To them, this was just another normal flight. Nothing unusual, nothing suspicious. Parents hugged their children goodbye. Passengers sent final text messages before takeoff. Flight attendants smiled as travelers found their seats. Nobody inside that aircraft could possibly imagine that they were about to become part of one of the greatest mysteries in human history. At exactly 12:41 in the morning, the Boeing 777 lifted into the dark sky. The destination was Beijing, China. Everything during takeoff appeared completely normal. The weather was calm. The pilots sounded relaxed. Air traffic controllers noticed nothing strange. For nearly 40 minutes, the flight continued exactly as planned. Then, suddenly, the aircraft approached the border between Malaysian and Vietnamese airspace. This was the moment pilots usually contacted the next control center. The captain spoke the final confirmed words from the cockpit. "Good night, Malaysian 370. Simple words, normal words. But nobody realized at the time those would become some of the most haunting final words in aviation history. Because seconds later, the aircraft disappeared from radar. At first, air traffic controllers assumed there was a technical issue. Maybe communication systems had failed. Maybe the transponder malfunctioned. But within minutes, panic slowly began spreading through control rooms. They kept trying to contact the aircraft again and again. No response. Silence. Meanwhile, somewhere above the ocean, the plane was still moving, but nobody knew where. Then investigators discovered something terrifying. Military radar had secretly tracked the aircraft after it vanished from civilian radar. That meant the plane had not crashed immediately. Instead, it had turned around deliberately. The aircraft suddenly changed direction and began flying back across Malaysia. Someone inside that cockpit had manually altered the route, and this single discovery changed everything.
Because planes do not simply turn around by accident. Someone was controlling it. But who and why? Investigators began exploring every possible theory: hijacking, terrorism, mechanical failure, pilot suicide. But the deeper they investigated, the stranger the mystery became. Then came another shocking discovery. Satellite data revealed that the plane continued sending automated signals for nearly 7 more hours. 7 hours! Imagine hearing that as the family of a passenger. For 7 long hours, that aircraft may have been flying through complete darkness. No communication, no radar tracking, just a silent plane moving above empty ocean, completely alone.
Now imagine being one of the passengers during those final hours. At first, everything probably felt normal. People watched movies, some passengers slept, flight attendants served drinks. Then suddenly, the aircraft changed direction. Maybe some passengers noticed the turn. Maybe others looked out the window and realized something felt wrong. Outside, there were no city lights, no land below, only darkness, an endless black ocean beneath the aircraft. And somewhere inside the cockpit, someone knew exactly what was happening. That thought still terrifies investigators today. Because if the route change was intentional, then whoever controlled the plane carefully avoided radar systems. Experts later discovered the aircraft appeared to travel through areas with weaker military radar coverage, almost as if someone wanted the plane to disappear. But the creepiest part, nobody knows what happened inside the cabin during those hours. Did passengers panic? Did people cry? Did anyone try contacting their families? Or were passengers somehow unconscious long before the aircraft vanished forever? No one knows, and maybe nobody ever will, because after that night, the ocean swallowed nearly. Soon, the search operation became massive. Countries from around the world joined the investigation. Ships scanned the ocean for debris. Military aircraft searched endless stretches of water. Satellite companies analyzed millions of data points. The search area became one of the largest in human history. But days passed and nothing was found. No wreckage, no floating seats, no bodies, nothing. It was almost impossible to believe. How could a giant Boeing 777 completely disappear? News channels across the world covered the mystery non-stop. Families waited desperately for answers. Some refused to believe the plane was gone. Others continued calling passengers' phones. And according to reports, some phones continued ringing. Imagine that moment. Calling your loved one, hearing the line connect, but nobody answers, just silence. Investigators later explained this could happen because of network systems, but for families, those calls became unforgettable nightmares. Meanwhile, online, wild theories exploded everywhere. Some believed the aircraft had been secretly hijacked. Others claimed it was shot down. A few even believed the plane somehow landed at a hidden location. Most of these theories had no strong evidence, but when an aircraft disappears without explanation, people begin searching for impossible answers. Then, months later, a shocking discovery finally appeared. A damaged wing fragment washed onto a remote island in the Indian Ocean. Investigators confirmed it belonged to MH370. Finally, proof the aircraft had crashed somewhere in the ocean. But even this discovery created new mysteries, because experts could still not locate the main wreckage. The ocean search continued. Underwater drones explored dark sections of seabed thousands of feet below the surface.
But the Indian Ocean is enormous, cold, violent, and terrifyingly deep. Some areas searched were deeper than mountains are tall. And hidden beneath those dark waters, investigators believed the plane was waiting to be found. But year after year, most of the aircraft remained missing, which only increased public fear around the mystery, because people began asking a horrifying question. How can modern technology track nearly everything on Earth, yet still lose an entire passenger plane? That question still has no complete answer today, and perhaps that is why this story continues haunting millions of people around the world, because deep down it reminds us that even in the modern age, some mysteries remain beyond human understanding.
But there is one final detail that makes this story even more disturbing. Some aviation experts believe the aircraft may have stayed under control until the very end, not falling uncontrollably, not exploding mid-air, but gliding silently across the ocean before impact. If that theory is true, then someone inside the cockpit remained conscious during the final moments, flying through complete darkness, watching fuel slowly disappear, knowing the aircraft would eventually fall into the sea. Imagine those final minutes, the engines growing quieter, passengers confused, the cabin dark, nothing outside except endless black water. And somewhere in the distance, absolutely nobody knew where they were. No rescue teams searching nearby, no one coming to save them, just silence, cold darkness, and the ocean waiting below. Even today, families of the victims continue searching for answers. Researchers still investigate satellite signals, experts still debate theories, and somewhere beneath the Indian Ocean, the remains of Flight MH370 are still hidden in darkness. A real aircraft, a real disappearance, and a mystery the world may never fully solve. So the next time you board a plane late at night and the cabin lights begin to dim, remember this story. Because somewhere out there, beyond radar screens and satellite systems, one of aviation's greatest mysteries is still waiting to be explained. And if you enjoyed tonight's mystery, subscribe for more real stories that sound too terrifying to be true.